Hello, kindergartners. Today we're going to do N, the nifty needle. So this one's not too hard. There's just one little part where you're going to need to pay attention to make sure we get the eye of the needle in there. All right, of course, starting with the border. So the funny thing about this one is going to be that to make this N be a needle, when we start our big line down, we're not going to start right away with a big line down. We're going to make the eye of the needle first of all. So rounding my corner here, and then we're going to come on down. So the part of this picture that's going to feel really long for me is the border, because there's really not much to color in for the background of this picture. So because of that, the background itself is just going to be lots of one color. And so that's going to be one of the places where I'm just going to build the stamina in my brain a little bit and just keep going through. So I've got that side most of the way down. I'll come across back on the top now. I like blue very much. I don't often use it for a border, but I do like blue, kind of like, a nice dark sky color, maybe right before the sun starts to go down at night. Now I hope that you have your crayons, and of course you're doing this along with me, right? This isn't just something to kind of watch. We're going to do this one together. And I'll keep going down this side. Now I notice that this side of my border is a little wider than the other side of my border. And I'm going to see after I finish this side if I can go to the other side and even it out a little bit by making the other side wider than it is right now, so that they match a little more. It's okay if they don't match, but I'm going to try and see if I can have them match. So again, coming down to the corner here, this is going to be the part that gets a little bothersome. Keeping my hand flat on the paper while my other hand is coloring, it helps to keep this, keep the paper straight right now. But then when I get down to that corner, the paper's going to try to flip up on me a little bit. And it'll just keep doing that, so I'll just keep working with it. So here I am down here at this corner, and I slow down, and sometimes also instead of making color going both directions, I just color down or across one way, and that way the paper doesn't curl back on me as much. All right, I noticed last week that I think the sound is coming through the little camera here on the desk. And I'm sorry, because I know then you get a lot more sound of that crayon rubbing back and forth. And I had figured out a way to make that stop and switch back to the laptop camera. But I'm going to have to mess with it some more because I can't remember how that was. It's somewhere in there, and we just got to click the right thing, and it'll work then. But I got to find it. All right. I'm going to get this corner here done. There we go. Do you see the paper wiggling on me? I'm going to switch this way. All right, there we go. Now it's slowed down some. Wow, it's really bright on here in this one spot for you to try to see what I'm doing. Shining a lot. There we go. All around now. I said before, I noticed that this side was a little wider than this side. So I'm going to go and try to widen this up some. Right here like so, just a little bit. Not a lot, then I'd need to widen the other side too. Just a little bit to make it match up a little better. All right, so now remember the needle was made of wood. So I'm using brown to make it be a nice wood color. And like I said, we're not just going to start big line down. Normally we ought to, right? But we're going to make the eye of the needle. So I'm going to start out by just kind of making an oval. Do you see that? And then I'm going to build up around it a little bit to make the needle part around it a little wider, like so. And there is the eye of the needle. That's what the thread will go through, the string part. There it is. And now I just need to finish making my needle go down here. So I'm going to slope these sides a little bit. However you make it to make your needle continue on down here is just fine. And I'll probably make this needle not come to a super sharp point, but just to a little bit of a point down here. All right, so here's the needle part, and now I'm going to put in the thread. And I always imagine the prince wearing a green cloak. So I'm going to use a green crayon, and I'm going to start up here and make my string slide down, just like N does. Remember, big line down, frog jump, and then the big line slides down. So here's the big line sliding on down. And then we're going to get to the part to be really careful here in just a minute. I'm going to watch as my line slides down. I'm going to slide my paper up so you can see. Do you see this spot here? I'm going to try to have my string stop down at the same level as the point of the needle. It might not, but I'm going to try. Now, you know, when you're sewing, you tend to zigzag back and forth, right? So there's the string going one direction, and now we're going to go back up, but watch, because you know the string is not going to go up this way, because that's not how an N goes. An N has two straight sides. So this side of my string is going to go straight up this direction. It's not going to go off to the side at all. The first line in the middle, that one does slide down, but this one does not slide down. This one here goes nice straight up, so that the two sides of my N are parallel to each other. They both go the same distance from each other. Nice and straight up and down lines. And just like at the bottom, I took it to the point. I'm going to take it here so that it kind of stops up at the same level as the top of the eye of the needle. All right. There it is. There's my nifty needle. And here's the string and my crayon that I'm going to use for the background just rolled toward me. This is it. I'm going to start out right here filling in the eye of the needle. And then I'm going to come over here and do some in this section. And you can see, like usual, I'm not making it very dark at all, am I? Just a little hint of color here. That way I don't need to press the crayon very hard. I can color really lightly and just lots of little back and forth with light pressing. And that'll give me a bit of a background so that it's not just white. And I've finished off the whole thing. You know, that background again, that really is going to build stamina in our brains. And when we build stamina in our brains, it can work for lots of different jobs. Just like when you build stamina in a muscle, it can help you lift things or walk a long ways or do more than one job. So when we build our stamina in our brains coloring this background, it helps us to have more stamina for reading, more stamina for sticking with our math, more stamina for understanding those Bible stories when it's kind of long without pictures just to listen to. There we go. All right, I've got the inside of the thread done here, and I've done around this way. I'm going to come down the side now. Boy, you really can't hardly see this at all, can you? Because it doesn't have to be very dark. I am making it pretty solid. I'm not leaving big, scribbly open spaces. I'm going back and forth, making sure that all the gaps are filled in, but I'm not pushing very much on my crayon at all. I'm just kind of letting the crayon roll itself back and forth across the paper. Now I'm going to come up here into this part of the N near the eye. And again, I'm coloring all of it. I'm not skipping spots, but I'm not pressing very hard. I'm just letting the crayon roll itself back and forth across my paper here. All right, I'm just about done with this bottom now. Down to here, all the way I'm going to go. All right, going back to fill in a few places that I feel, and they look like there's little bits of white gap. All right, I've just about got all the way across the bottom. And now I just need to work my way back up to the top on this side of the N. So here I am, coming up this way past my green string. You might be working on a different part of your background. Oh, my green crayon tried to roll under my paper there. All right, so here I come back up my green string. I'm sure you guys are working away on your background somewhere. Back and forth, just up and up, and around and around. Back and forth from one side to the other. And now I'm almost done. All right, here we go. Up to the top. And just fill in this last corner. All right, and there we have it. My nifty needle.